Hi, my name is Paul Hollis, and I want to give you a vision that God gave me a few years ago. This vision was a vision that has changed my life, and it was a time when my wife and I were in a room. It was a very nice-looking facility, a large room, and it had marble floors and a marble wall on it, and it had a wide winding staircase. And we began walking up this staircase together. And as we were walking up the staircase, I was looking at her. We were both in our 60s. And as we got to the top of this room where the staircase ended, we realized that we were in an upper room. And as we looked around, we saw many, many people that we knew, a lot of faces that were very familiar with us. And everyone there we knew was waiting for the rapture. We were waiting for Christ to come to take his saints back to heaven. And all at once, things changed in a twinkling of an eye. I looked at Claire, and she had a white robe on with a blue sash. And all at once, she looked like she was 30 years of age. And everybody else in the room had on a white robe, including myself. And we began to ascend actually very slowly up toward the ceiling. The ceiling was about 20 feet high. And as we ascended into the ceiling, I thought, how are we going to get through the ceiling? But as if the ceiling wasn't even there. We went right through the ceiling, all of us together. And then once we got through, it was like swish, at a tremendous rate of speed. We began to go up toward heaven. And as we were going at a tremendous speed, all at once there was a force field that slowed me down. And as I looked behind me, I could see I was with the Lord. And the Lord took me back toward the earth. And as I was going back toward the earth, I could see the formation of the earth. I could see eventually the clouds and then the buildings. And when we got down to the earth itself, we didn't stop. We went right down into the middle of the earth, right into hell itself. And as we got into there, and I'm with Christ, and I realized that we were in hell, and I started hearing screams and people in tremendous torment. And they were saying, "Get me out of here, get me out of here." And I didn't recognize any of the faces, but I could see the people was in tremendous torment as they were in pits of fire. And I turned to the Lord and I said, "Lord, we have to get these people out of here." And the Lord turned to me and he says, "No." He said, "They've already made their choices." And he said that they live their life, but once you live your life on earth, then that will determine your eternity. And so this is their eternity. And he said it's appointed for man once to die, and then after that it's the judgment. And then the Lord turned to me and he says, "I have called you to go out and heal the brokenhearted and to set the captives free so people will not have to spend their life in this place." And that so impacted my life. It was to the point that I could not even speak for at least almost 24 hours. And finally I was able to speak to my wife and tell her the vision that God had given to me. And of course that's the vision that my wife and I are in ministry today. We're in the ministry to set the captives free and heal the brokenhearted. So we realize it doesn't make any difference what position you might feel like you're in today. You may be struggling with an addiction, or struggling with a depression, lots of fear, lots of anxiety, but I can promise you that God can set you free. And fortunately, he has showed us how we can minister to people that can get absolutely free from every one of these issues going on in their life. And we have been doing this ministry now for several years, and we've seen people's lives tremendously change because this is a great vision that God gave me, and he has performed that call upon our life.